Chapter 5. Paragraph 19. Within the borders. Within the four frontiers, men and women are known by name to their superiors. At birth they are registered and at death they are erased. Those who have rank ask of those who have no rank to act as bodyguard. 889. For each degree the service of one man is requested. 890. When they have no military service, the bodyguards serve their great officers 6 days in the month. In times of military service, they follow their great officers and are fed by them. The military ranks from the first degree down to the small prefects are called HCO, TU, TSAO, SHI. The public ranks from the second degree upwards to the degree of Pukeg are called military officials, ZU. In battle 5 men are organized into P296 a squad. If one of them is killed, the other 4 are beheaded. 891. If a man can capture 1 head, then he is exempted from taxes. For every 5 men is there a corporal, Tun Shang, and for every 100 men a centurion, Jiang. If in a battle the *1b centurions and corporals are unsuccessful, they are beheaded. If they are successful, 33 heads or more are accounted ample, and to the centurions and corporals 1 degree in rank is given. 892. An officer of 500 men has 50 swordsmen with short weapons. 893. An officer of twice 500 men, in commanding them, has 100 swordsmen. A prefect. 894, with an income of 1,000 pickles of grain has 100 swordsmen. A prefect with an P297 income of 800 pickles of grain has 80 swordsmen. One with 700 pickles has 70 swordsmen. One with 600 pickles has 60 swordsmen. The Kuawai, 895, has 1,000 swordsmen, and the general has 4,000 swordsmen. If in a battle, it comes so far that he is killed, then the swordsmen are beheaded. If a man can capture 1 head, he is exempted from taxes. If in attacking a city or besieging a town they can capture 8,000 heads or more, it is accounted ample. If in a battle in the open field they take 2,000 heads, it is accounted ample. From the TSAO officers up to HCO officers, the great general fully rewards the officers in the ranks. He who was formerly Kungshi is promoted to Shagtseo, a Shagtseo to Tsuiao, a Tsuiao to Pukeg, a Pukeg to Great Officer, Tafu. P298. When an officer is raised to the rank of a district commander, Xianwei, 896, then he is presented with 6 prisoner slaves, and provided with 5,000 soldiers and an income of 600 pickles of grain. Tafu are raised to the rank of *2 a Kuawai. One who was formerly a Tafu is promoted to Kung Tafu, a Kung Tafu to Kungsheg, a Kungsheg to Wu Tafu, and then receives a tax-paying city of 300 families. A former Wu Tafu is promoted to Shuchang, a Shuchang to a Tsokeg, one of the 3 kegs to a Taliangseo. 897. In all these cases there is presented a town of 300 families, or the taxes of 300 families. P299. Where there is a tax-paying town of 600 families, an office of vice-chancellor is conferred. Those who ride in the company of the great general are all promoted 3 degrees. He who was formerly assistant chancellor, when he is accounted to have the full merit, is promoted to the actual chancellorship. When 3 heads are captured in battle, they are exposed for 3 days. The general confers, in the cases where there is no doubt that it is deserved, the titles of Shi and Tafu in reward. When the heads have been hanging for 3 days and no titles of Shi or Tafu have been conferred on anyone in reward, then they are removed. The 4 wei of a district are under the critical supervision of a chegwei. If he succeeds in capturing the head of a man of rank, he receives 1 ching, 898, of land and 9 mu of estate, apart from P300 the conferment of 1 degree of rank and a bodyguard for each rank, 899, and he is allowed to enter amongst the military officers. In case of transgression of the law, then those of high rank criticize those of lower rank and degree. If a man of high rank has been cashiered, he may not be given as servant, 900, to a man of rank. Those holding rank from *2b the 2nd degree upwards, in case of an offense, are degraded. Those holding rank not higher than the 1st degree, when guilty of an offense, lose it. At the death of a hcalfu up to a tafu, coffins should be of a different kind, 901, for each degree, and the number of trees on the graves, 902, should be 1 for each degree in rank. In P301 attacking a city or besieging a town, the Minister of Public Works of the state examines critically the size and resources of that city. The QAWE assigns the places, dividing the area according to the number of TU and HCL officers for the attack, and he sets them a time limit, saying, "Those who are first will be rewarded as the vanguard and those who hold back will be reprimanded, as being in the rear. And on a second reprimand will be dismissed." They dig out subterranean passages and pile up fuel. When the fuel has been piled up they set fire to the beams, 903. From the corps of sappers, on each side of the town, there are 18 men. The soldiers from the corps of sappers, if they know how to fight fiercely, although they cannot capture the heads of any men in the ranks, 904, are rewarded P302 with 1 degree for each man. For every 1 man that is killed, freedom from taxes is given. And for every 1 man that cannot fight to the death, 10 are torn to pieces by chariots, 905. Those who make critical remarks are branded or their noses are sliced off under the city wall. The QAWE, 906, in assigning their various places to all, cause the several detachments to be followed by Changzu, 907. The general erects a wooden platform, wherefrom, together with the chief supervisor of the state and the chief secretary, he watches the battle. *3 are those who enter first are rewarded as men of the vanguard, and those who enter last are treated as men of the rearguard, 908. As to the corps of sappers, the utmost use is made of their few men, if these few men are not P303 sufficient. They are supplemented by those who are anxious to receive a rank, 909. Paragraph 20 Weakening the people. A weak people means a strong state and a strong state means a weak people. Therefore, a country, which has the right way, is concerned with weakening the people. If they are simple they become strong, and if they are licentious they become weak. Being weak, they are law-abiding. Being licentious, they let their ambition go too far. Being weak, they are serviceable, but if they let their ambition go too far, they will become strong. 910. Therefore is it said, to remove the strong by means of a strong people brings weakness, to remove the strong by means of a weak people brings strength. 911. The people, if they are benefited, are harmonious, and if they are loved, they are serviceable. Being serviceable, they receive appointments, and being harmonious, they P304 are not deficient. Receiving appointments, they will enrich themselves in government positions. The ruler will abandon the law and allow things to be done for the benefit of the people. Thus criminals will be numerous. If the people are poor, they will be rich in strength, and being rich in strength, they become licentious. Being licentious, they will suffer from the parasites. Therefore, if the people are rich and unemployed, they should be made to obtain titles by means of their grain. 912, and every one of them will certainly become strong. Then there will be no derogation of agriculture, and *3b the 6 parasites will not sprout out, and thus, the state being rich and the people orderly, there will be twofold strength. 913. An army easily becomes weak, but it is difficult to keep it strong. The people enjoy life and feel happy in leisure, but find it difficult to risk death in dangers. If they find it easy, they will be strong. If there are things that one is ashamed of doing, in the case where there are many crimes and few rewards, there is no loss, and in the case where there are many crimes and the suspicion falls on the enemy. p. 305 The loss will certainly become gain and the army will become extremely strong and redoubtable. If there are no things which one is ashamed of doing, it is of advantage to use the army, and if one retains the advantage for a long time, one's position will become assuredly supreme. Therefore, if one's army accomplishes what the enemy dares not accomplish, one becomes strong, and if affairs are undertaken which the enemy is ashamed to perform, one obtains advantage. If there is law and the people are quiet, changes made by the ruler are relegated to the second place, so that affairs become well organized. The country is interested in maintaining peace and quiet, but a ruler in wielding his authority and privileged position, thus a ruler values many changes. But the country values few changes. If the profit leaks out through only one outlet, the state will have many products, but if it leaks out through 10 outlets, the state will have few products. 914. If only one outlet is preserved, there will be orderly government, but if 10 outlets are preserved, there will be disorder. 915. Orderly government brings strength, but disorder brings weakness. When there is strength, products are imported, but when there is weakness, products are exported. Therefore a state p. 306 that imports products is strong and one that exports products is weak. 916. If the people live in humiliation, they value rank. If they are weak, they honor office, and if they are poor, they prize rewards. If the people are governed by means of punishments, they enjoy service, and if the people are made to fight by means of rewards, they scorn death. Therefore if, in war, one's army is efficient, one is called strong. 917. *4b If the people have private honors, they hold rank cheap and disdain office. If they are rich, they think lightly of rewards. Orderly people are ashamed of humiliations, and if they are made to fight by means of punishments, they will fight. If in fighting people are afraid of death and behave in a disorderly manner, the result will be that soldiers and farmers will be lazy and the country weak. Farming, trade and office are the 3 permanent functions in a state. Farmers open up the soil, merchants import products, officials rule the people. These 3 functions give rise to parasites, 6 in number, which are called care for old age, living on others, beauty, love, ambition and virtuous conduct. If these 6 parasites find an attachment, there will be dismemberment. 918. If farmers live in affluence, p. 307 they seek leisure. 919. In their old age, if merchants have illicit profits, there will be beauty and love, and these will harm the means for enforcing the law. 920. If officials are set up, but are not utilized, ambition and virtuous conduct will be the end. If the 6 parasites become a pervading custom, the army will certainly suffer great defeats. If the law is crooked, order turns into disorder. If reliance is placed on virtue, there is much talking. If government measures are numerous, the state is in disorder, and if there is much talking, the army is weak. 921. But if the law is clear, government measures are limited, if reliance is placed on force, talking ceases. If government measures are limited, the country enjoys orderly administration, and if talking ceases, the army is strong. Therefore, in ruling a great country, it becomes small, and in ruling a small country, it becomes great. 922. If the government takes such measures as the people hate, the people are made weak, and if it takes such measures as the people like, the people are made strong. But a weak people means a strong state, and a strong people means a weak state. Asterisk 4b. If the government takes such measures as the people like, they are made strong, and if strong people are made even stronger, the army becomes doubly weak. But if the government takes such measures as the people hate, they are made weak, and if weak people are made even weaker. p. 308. The army becomes doubly strong. Therefore, by strengthening the people, one becomes doubly weak, and perishes. By weakening the people, one becomes doubly strong and attains supremacy. With a strong people to attack the strong brings weakness, whereas on the other side strength remains. With a weak people to attack the strong brings strength, whereas on the other side strength is removed. If strength remains on the other side, one perishes, but if strength is removed on the other side, one attains supremacy. Therefore, with a strong people to attack the strong brings dismemberment, but with a weak people to attack the strong brings supremacy. The 923 way in which an intelligent ruler uses his ministers is by always giving them employment for merits, which they have acquired, and by always fully recognizing. 924. Their p. 309 exertions by rewards, and if a ruler of men makes his people believe in this as firmly as they do in the sun and moon, then he will have no equal. 925. Now Li Lu could see the tip of an autumn's hair, but he could not transfer his sharp vision to others. Wu Huo could lift the weight of 1,000 chu, but he could not transfer his great strength to others. So sages and men of talent are bound to their personality and nature, which cannot be transferred to others. 926. Now, those who administer affairs in our times, all desire to be more than sages. There is much talk of setting the law on high, but they rule in defiance of the law. This is like carrying a heavy load along a far road without having a horse *5 or an ox, or like crossing a wide river without having a boat or oars. Now, to have a numerous population and a strong army is the great capital of an emperor or king, but if he does not have clear laws by which to keep them, he is next door to peril and ruin. Therefore an intelligent ruler studies the law and thus understands how to bring it about that the people within his borders have no perverse and depraved hearts, that idly living scholars are pressed into the battle line, and that the 10,000 subjects are alert in ploughing and warfare. p. 310. The people, 927, of the state of Chu, who were alert and well balanced and fast as a whirlwind, were, with their iron lances made of the steel from Yuan. 928, as sharp as a bee's sting. As armor they wore the skin of sharks. 929, and the hide of rhinoceros, which are as strong as metal and stone. The Yangtze and the Han rivers were its moats, and the Ju and the Yig. 930, its boundaries. The forest of Teg. 931, was its screen, and the wall of the Fang Mountains. 932, was its frontier. Yet when the army of Chin marched on Yen and Yig, 933, it took those cities as easily as if it had been merely the shaking of a dead tree. Tang Mieh, 934, met his death at Chuishi. 935, p. 311. Chuag Chiao, 936, rose in the interior, and Chu was divided into 5 parts. 937. This was not because its territory was not large or that the population was not numerous, or that the armor and weapons and resources were not many, but the reason that in fighting it did not win and in defending it was unable to hold its own, was due to the fact that it did not have law. 938. He who dismisses scales and standard weights and manipulates light and heavy. 939. Paragraph 21, lost. Paragraph 22. External and internal affairs. Of the external affairs of the people, there is nothing more difficult than warfare, so an easy law cannot bring them to it. What is called an easy law? It is when rewards are p. 312 few and authority weak, and when depraved doctrines are not obstructed. What are called depraved doctrines? They are when sophistry and knowledge are valued, when itinerant politicians receive office, and when scholarship and private reputations are in evidence. When these three are not barred, then people will not fight and affairs fail. For when rewards are few, then there is no advantage in obedience, when authority is weak, then there is no harm in transgression. Therefore depraved doctrines are started in order to mislead the people, and to make them fight while the law is easy, is like setting a cat to bait a rat. 940. Is that not impossible? Therefore, he who desires to make his people fight, sees to it that the law is severe, consequently rewards will be numerous. 941. Authority will be strict, depraved doctrines will be obstructed, those engaged in sophistry and knowledge will not be honored. Itinerant politicians will not be employed in office, scholarship and private reputations will not be in *6 evidence. If rewards are numerous and authority strict, then people, seeing that in war rewards are many, will forget the danger of death, and seeing their degradation when there is no war, will find life hard. When rewards make them forget the danger of death and strict authority causes them to find life hard, and moreover, depraved doctrines are barred, in this manner meeting the enemy would be like shooting, with a crossbow of 100 pickles capacity, a floating leaf. How would it be possible for it not to perish? Of the internal affairs of the people, there is nothing harder p. 313 than agriculture. Therefore an easy administration cannot bring them to it. What is called an easy administration? When farmers are poor and merchants are rich, when clever people gain profit and itinerant office seekers are numerous. So the farmers, in spite of their extremely hard labor, gain little profit, and are worse off than merchants and shopkeepers and all manner of clever people. If one succeeds in restricting the number of these latter, then, even if one wished to, one could not prevent a state from becoming rich. Therefore is it said, if one wishes to enrich the country through agriculture, then within the borders grain must be *6 be dear, taxes for those who are not farmers must be many, and dues on market profit must be heavy, with the result that people are forced to have land. As those who have no land are obliged to buy their grain, grain will be dear, and those who have land will thus profit. When those who have land gain profit, there will be many who will occupy themselves with agriculture. When grain is dear, and the dealing in it is not profitable, while, moreover, heavy taxes are imposed, then people cannot fail to abolish merchants and shopkeepers and all manner of clever folk, and to occupy themselves in the profit from the soil. 942. So the strength of the people will be fully exerted in the profit from the soil. Therefore, he who organizes a state, should let his soldiers have the full benefit of the profits on the frontiers, and let the farmers have the full benefit from the profits of the market. If the first happens, the state will be strong, and if the p. 314 second happens, it will be rich. Therefore one who, abroad, is strong in warfare, and at home, is rich in peace, attains supremacy. For if grain is cheap, the value of money is high, and cheap grain means poor farmers, and a high value of money means rich merchants, and if secondary occupations are not forbidden, then. Paragraph 23. Prince and Minister. In the days of antiquity, before the time when there were princes and ministers, 943, superiors and inferiors, the people were disorderly and were not well administered, and so the sages made a division between the noble and the humble. They regulated rank and position, and established names and appellations, in order to distinguish the ideas of prince and minister, of superior and inferior. 944. As the territory was *7 extensive, the people numerous and all things many, they made a division of 5 kinds of officials, and maintained it. As the people were numerous, wickedness and depravity originated, so they established laws and regulations. 945, and created weights and measures. 946. In order to prohibit them, and p. 315. In consequence there were the idea of prince and minister, the distinctions between the 5 kinds of officials, and the interdicts of the laws and regulations, to which it was necessary to pay heed. If, when occupying the position of prince, one's mandates are not carried out, one is in peril. When there is no constancy in the distinctions between the 5 kinds of officials, there is disorder. When laws and regulations have been set up and yet private notions of virtue are practiced, then people do not stand in fear of punishment. When the prince is respected, his mandates are carried out. When officials have been well trained, there is constancy, and when laws and regulations are clear, people stand in fear of punishment. If laws and regulations are not clear, then it is impossible to obtain from the people the observance of mandates. If the people do not observe the mandates, but you want the prince to be respected, even a man with the wisdom of Yao and Shun would not be able to govern well. The way in which an intelligent prince administers the empire is to do so according to the law, and to reward according to merit. It is the hankering for rank and emoluments that prompts people to fight energetically and not to shun death. The way in which an intelligent prince administers a state is to award soldiers, who have had the merit of making decapitations or of capturing prisoners, with such rank as will really give honor, and to grant them such emoluments as will be sufficient for them to live on. And *7b to farmers, who do not leave their ground, sufficient to p. 316 nourish both their parents and to keep their family affairs in order. Thus soldiers in the army will fulfill their duty even to death, and farmers will not be negligent. But the princes of the present time do not act thus. They relax the law and keep to knowledge. 947. They turn their backs on merit and keep to people of reputation. Therefore, soldiers do not fight and farmers are migratory. I have heard that the gate through which the people are guided depends on where their superiors lead. Therefore, whether one succeeds in making people farm or fight, or in making them into traveling politicians, or in making them into scholars, depends on what their superiors encourage. If their superiors encourage merit and labor, people will fight. If they encourage the odes and book of history, people will become scholars. For people's attitude towards profit is just like the tendency of water to flow downwards. 948, without preference for any of the 4 sides. The people are only interested in obtaining profit, and it depends on what their superiors encourage, what they will do. If men with angry eyes, who clench their fists, 949, and call themselves brave, are successful, if men in flowing robes, who idly talk, are p. 317 successful, if men who waste their time and spend their days in idleness, and save their efforts for obtaining benefit through private channels, 950, are successful, if these three kinds of people, though they have no merit, all obtain respectful treatment, then people will leave off farming and fighting and will do this. Either they will extort it by discussions and suggestions, or they will ask for it by practicing flattery, or they will struggle for it by acts of bravery. Thus *8 of farmers and fighters will dwindle daily, and itinerant office seekers will increase more and more, with the result that the country will fall into disorder, the land will be dismembered, the army will be weak and the ruler debased. This would be the result of relaxing laws and regulations and placing reliance on men of fame and reputation. Therefore is an intelligent ruler cautious with regard to laws and regulations. He does not hearken to words which are not in accordance with the law. He does not exalt actions which are not in accordance with the law. He does not perform deeds which are not in accordance with the law. But he hearkens to words which are in accordance with the law. He exalts actions which are in accordance with the law. He performs deeds which are in accordance with the law. Thus the state will enjoy order, the land will be wide, the army will be strong, and the ruler will be honored. This is the climax of good government, and it is imperative for a ruler of men to examine it. Paragraph 24. Interdicts and encouragements. The method by which a ruler of men prohibits and encourages is by means of rewards and penalties. Rewards follow merit and penalties follow crime, therefore is it necessary to be careful in appraising merit and in investigating crime. Now, rewards exalt and punishments debase, but if *8b the superiors have no definite knowledge of their method, it is no better than if they had no method at all. But the method for right knowledge is power, 951, and figures, 952. Therefore, the early kings did not rely on their strength but on their power, they did not rely on their belief but on their figures. Now, for example, a floating seed of the pea eggplant, 953, meeting a whirlwind, may be carried 1,000 li, because it rides on the power, of the wind. If, in measuring an abyss, you know that it is 1,000 fathoms deep, it is owing to the figures which you find by dropping a string. So by depending on the power, of a thing, you will reach a point, however distant it may be, and by keeping the proper figures, you will find out the depth, however deep it may be. Now, for example, in the darkness p319 of the night, even a Lilu, 954, cannot see a great mountain forest, but in the clear morning light, with the brilliant sun, he can distinguish the flying birds above, and below he can see an autumn hare. For the vision of the eye is dependent on the power of the sun. When the highest condition of power, is reached, things are arranged without a multitude of officials and are made fitting by expounding the system, 955. But nowadays, reliance is placed on a multitude of offices and a host of civil servants, and in the official bureaus assistants and controllers, 956, are appointed. Now, the idea of appointing these assistants and controllers is indeed to prevent men, 957, from making profit, but these assistants and controllers themselves also desire to make profit. How then can they prevent others from doing so? Therefore, if one relies on assistants and controllers for one's administration, then will it be an administration that can barely maintain itself? It is not thus. If one understands system, one separates their power, and puts checks on their conduct. *9 Therefore is it said, if the conditions of power, are such that it is difficult to conceal anything, then even a man like does no wrong, 958. Therefore, the early kings p320 prized power, Some say, a ruler of men holds a nominal right of consent, post factum, then things are controlled and examined, and by this control wickedness is discovered. I do not think that this is right. For officials exert sole authority and take decisions 1,000 li away from the ruler. In the 12th month, to confirm it, they make a report, in which the affairs of the whole year have separate entries, but as the ruler gives but one hearing, although he sees doubtful cases, he cannot determine whether an official is capable or otherwise. For example, if objects come near, the eye cannot but see them; if words are insistent, the ear cannot but hear them, for if objects approach, they alter in appearance, and if words draw near, they form coherent speech. So with the organization in a well-governed state, people cannot escape punishment any more than the eyes can hide from the mind what they see. But in the disorderly states of the present time, it is not thus. Reliance is placed on a multitude of offices and a host of civil servants, but however numerous the civil servants may be, their affairs are the same and they belong to one body. Now, those whose affairs are the same and p. 321 who belong to one body, cannot control one another. But by making their interests different and their disadvantages dissimilar, the early kings created guarantees. Therefore, in a condition of complete good government, husband and wife and friends cannot abandon each other's evil, cover up wrongdoing and not cause harm to relatives, nor can the men from the people mutually conceal each other from their *9b superiors and government servants. That is because, although their affairs are connected, their interests are different. 959. But nowadays Atsu and Au cannot control each other, because their business is the same and their interests are also similar. Suppose that horses could speak, then Atsu and Au, 960, would have no chance of escaping what they find hateful, that is because their interests would be different. 961. When interests are connected and what they hate is the same, then a father cannot reprimand his son, nor a prince his minister. The relation of government servants to other government servants is this, that their interests are connected and what they p. 322 hate is the same. Now, the early kings made it a principle that those whose business was connected, should have different interests. Though the people may hide things from their ruler, there is no harm done in thus covering them up, nor can there be advantage in having virtuous men or harm in having worthless ones. The system, therefore, of good government is to neglect the virtuous and to abolish the wise. Paragraph 25. Attention to law. Generally, there is no one in the world who does not base order on the causes of disorder. Therefore, to a limited degree of order corresponds a limited degree of disorder, and to a great degree of order corresponds a great degree of *10 disorder. There is no ruler of men who can give order to his people for all time, nor is there a country in the world that has not known disorder. What do I mean by saying that one bases order on the causes of disorder? Raising virtuous and capable men is the cause of bringing order into the world, but it is also the cause of order becoming disorder. Those whom the world calls virtuous are men whose words are upright. The reason why they are regarded as upright in words is due to their partisans. Hearing their words, one takes them to be capable, and on asking their partisans, one thinks that they are indeed so. Therefore, one prizes them without waiting for them to acquire actual merit, or one punishes them without waiting for them to commit crimes. In these circumstances, vile officials are given precisely the p. 323 opportunity to accomplish their wicked and dangerous acts, and small-minded men have an opportunity to apply their dexterous and crafty tricks. 962. If in the beginning a basis for wickedness and craftiness is provided for officials and people, then if finally one tries to make them correct and guileless, even a great sage like you could not succeed in causing as many as 10 men to be like that. How then could an ordinary ruler manage the people of the whole country in this way? Those people who form parties with others do not need us. 963, for obtaining success, and if superiors pull one way with the people, then the latter will turn their backs on the ruler's position and will turn towards private connections. When this is the case, the prince will be weak and his ministers strong, and if the ruler does not understand this, then if the country *10b is not annexed by the feudal lords, it will be robbed by the people. 964. Both stupid and wise will, alike, try to acquire that power of eloquence, and if scholars study with those eloquent speakers, then people will lose touch with reality and will recite empty 324 phrases. Should this be the case, then their strength will decrease and wrongdoing will increase, and if the prince does not understand it, in battle he will lose his generals, and in defense his cities will certainly be sold. Therefore, if there is an intelligent ruler or a loyal minister born in this age who wishes to lead his country, then he should not for one moment be forgetful of the law, but he should conquer and destroy cabals, control and abolish eloquence, and relying on the law, the country will enjoy order. If a condition is brought about where, for government servants, there is no other standard maintained than the law, then, however tricky they may be, they will be unable to commit wickedness, and if, for the people, a condition is brought about where there is no other way of exerting their capacities than in war, then, however great the danger may be, no deceit will be possible. Indeed, if people control each other by law and recommend each other by following systematic rules, then they cannot benefit each other with praise nor harm each other with slander. If the people see that there is no benefit in praising each other, they will become used to loving each 325 other without flattery, and if they see that there is no harm in slandering each other, they will become used to hating each other without injuring each other. If the love of men does *11 not mean flattery, and the hatred of men does not mean causing injury, then both love and hatred will be pure, which is the highest degree of order. Therefore do I say, if one relies on law, the country will enjoy order. A country of 1,000 chariots is able to preserve itself by defense, and a country of 10,000 chariots is able to round itself off by fighting. Even a bad ruler like Shang would not be able to twist one word of this statement in order to subdue his enemies. 965, and if, abroad, one is incapable of waging war, and at home one is incapable of defense, then even a good ruler like Shang could not pacify, for any misbehavior. 966, a country that, normally, would be no match. Looking at it from this point of view, that through which the country is important and that through which the ruler is honored is force. Force being the basis of both, how is it then that no ruler on earth succeeds in developing force? Bring about a condition where people find it bitter not to till, and where they find it dangerous not to fight. These are two things which filial sons, though they dislike them, do for their father's sake, and loyal ministers, though they dislike them, do for their sovereign's sake. Nowadays, if you wish to stimulate the multitude of people to make them do what 326 even filial sons and loyal ministers dislike doing, I think it is useless unless you compel them by means of punishments, and stimulate them by means of rewards. But nowadays, the ordinary types of ruler all neglect laws and measures, and rely on sophistry and cleverness. They push back men *11b of merit and force, and advance those of benevolence and righteousness, with the result that people do not devote themselves to agriculture and warfare. If such people do not turn their energies to agriculture, at home their food supply will be exhausted, and if they do not turn to their duty in warfare, abroad the army will be weak. Then, though one may have a territory of 10,000 li, and 1,000,000 armed men, it will be the same as a plane that has to depend on its own resources. Furthermore, the early kings were able to command their people to walk on bare swords and to suffer arrows and stones, and the people were willing to do so, not because they liked learning such things, but because they escaped, 967, harm thereby. Therefore my teaching is to issue such orders that people, if they are desirous of profit, can attain their aim only by agriculture, and if they want to avoid harm, can only escape it by war. There will be no one within the borders who will not devote himself at first to ploughing and fighting, in order thereby later to obtain that which gives him pleasure. Therefore, though the territory may be small, the produce will be plentiful, and though the population may be sparse, the army will be strong. If 1p327 can achieve these two things within the territory, then the road to becoming a Lord Protector or King of the whole empire is fully prepared. Paragraph 26. The fixing of rights and duties. The Duke questioned Kung Sun Yang, saying, supposing that one established laws and mandates today, and wished that, tomorrow, all government servants and people, throughout the empire, should understand them clearly and apply them, so that all should be as one, and should have no selfish intentions, how can one bring this about? Kung Sun Yang replied, there should be instituted, for the laws, government officers who are able to understand the contents of the decrees, and who should be the regulators of the empire. Then they should memorialize the Son of Heaven, whereupon the Son of Heaven would personally preside over the law and promulgate it. All should then issue to their inferiors the mandates they have received, and the law officers, 968, should preside personally over the law and promulgate it. When people venture to neglect practicing the items, 969, named in the promulgations of the officers presiding over the law, then each one is punished according to p. 328 the item in the law which he has neglected. In the eventuality of these officers, who preside over the law, being transferred or dying, students should be made to read the contents of the law and a standard of knowledge should be fixed for them, so that, within a certain number of days, they should know the contents of the law. And for those students who do not reach the standard, a law is made for punishing them. Should anyone dare to tamper with the text of the law, to erase or add one single character, or more, he shall be condemned to death without pardon. Whenever government officials, 970, or people have questions about the meaning of the laws or mandates, to ask of the officers presiding over the *12b law, the officers should, in each case, answer clearly according to the laws and mandates about which it was originally desired to ask questions. And they should, in each case, prepare a tablet of the length of 1 foot 6 inches, on which should be distinctly inscribed the year, month, day and hour, 971, as well as the items of law about which questions were asked, for the information of the government officials or of the people. Should the officers who preside over the law not give the desired information, they should be punished according to the contents of the law, that is, they should be punished p. 329 according to the law about which the government officials or people have asked information. The officers, presiding over the law, should forthwith give to those government officials who ask information about the law, the left half of the document, and they themselves should store carefully the wooden bindings with the right half of the document. Keep them in a room and seal them with the seal of the Chief of the Office of Laws and Mandates. Later, on the death of the officer, affairs should be transacted according to these files. All the laws and mandates should be put together as a set, one set being kept in the palace of the Son of Heaven. Forbidden archives, 972, should be built for the laws, which are locked with lock and key to prevent admittance, and are sealed up. Herein should be stored one set of the laws and mandates. Inside the forbidden archives they should be sealed with a seal forbidding their opening. Whoever ventures unauthorizedly to break the seals of the forbidden archives, or to enter the forbidden archives, to inspect the forbidden laws and mandates, or to tamper with one or more characters of the forbidden laws, shall, in any of these cases, be guilty of death without pardon. Once a year laws and mandates shall be received for prohibitions and orders to be issued. 13 The Son of Heaven shall set up 3 law officers, one in the P330 palace, one in the office of the Yushi, together with a government official, and one in the chancery of the Chh Siag, 973. In the various prefectures and sub-prefectures of the feudal lords, shall be instituted 1 law officer, together with government officials, all of whom shall be similar to the law officers in Chin, 974. Thus the prefectures and sub-prefectures and the feudal lords shall all alike receive a knowledge of the laws and mandates in the archives, and moreover the aforementioned government officials and people, who are desirous of knowing the law, shall all address their inquiries to these law officers. Thus there shall be no one among the government officials and people of the empire who does not know the law, and as the officials are clearly aware that the people know the laws and mandates, they dare not treat the people contrary to the law, nor dare the people transgress the law, as they would come into conflict with the law officers. If in their treatment of the people the government officials do not act according to the law, the former should inquire of the law officer, who should at once inform them of the punishment for the illegal action in P331 question, fixed by the law. The people should then at once inform the government officials, formally, of the law officer's statement. Thus the government officials, knowing that such is the course of events, dare not treat the people contrary to the law, nor do the people dare infringe the law. In this way, government officials and the people of the empire, however virtuous or good, however sophistical or sagacious they may be, cannot add one word to twist the law, nor, though they may have 1,000 pieces of gold, can they use 1*13b24 of an ounce of it for such a purpose. Thus the knowing and crafty ones, as well as the virtuous and capable, will all force themselves to behave well and will do their best to restrain themselves and to serve the public weal. When people are stupid, they are easy to govern. 975. All this originates from the fact that the law is clear, easy to know, and strictly applied. Law is the authoritative principle, 976, for the people, and is the basis of government. It is what shapes the people. Trying to govern while eliminating the law is like a desire not to be hungry while eliminating food, or a desire not to be cold while eliminating clothes, or a desire to go east while one moves west. It is clear enough that there is no hope of realizing it. That 100 men will chase after a single hare that runs away, is not for the sake of the hare, for when they are sold P332 everywhere on the market, even a thief does not dare to take one away, because their legal title, 977, is definite. Thus if the legal title is not definite, then even men like Yao, Shang, Yu or Tang would all rush to chase after it. But if the legal title is definite, even a poor thief would not take it. 978. Now if laws and mandates are not clear, nor their titles definite, the men of the empire have opportunities for discussion. In their discussions they will differ and there will be no definiteness. If above the ruler of men makes laws, but below the inferior people discuss them, the laws will not be definite and inferiors will become superiors. This may be *14 called a condition where rights and duties are indefinite. P333 When rights and duties are indefinite, even men like Yao and Shun will become crooked and commit acts of wickedness, how much more then the mass of the people. This is the way in which wickedness and wrongdoing will be greatly stimulated. The ruler of men will be despoiled of his authority and power, will ruin his country and bring disaster upon the altar of the soil and grain. 979. Now the former sages made writings and transmitted them to later generations, and it is necessary to accept these as authoritative, so that one may know what is conveyed by established terminology. 980. Should they not be accepted as authoritative, and should people discuss them according to ideas of their own mind, then until their death they will not succeed in understanding the terminology and its meaning. Therefore did the sages set up officers and officials for the laws and mandates, who should be authoritative. 981, in the empire, in order to define everyone's rights and duties, so that these being definite, the very crafty would become faithful and trustworthy. And the people would all become honest and guileless, each one restraining himself. For indeed, the defining of everybody's rights and duties is the road that leads to orderly government, but the not defining of everybody's rights and duties is the road that leads to disorder. So where there is a tendency towards order, there cannot be p. 334 disorder, and where there is a tendency towards disorder, there cannot be order. Indeed, where there is a tendency towards disorder and one governs it, the disorder will only increase, but where there is a tendency towards order and one governs it, there will be order. Therefore, the sage kings governed order and did not govern disorder. Indeed, subtle and mysterious words, which have to be *14b pondered over, 982, cause difficulty even to men of superior knowledge. There may be one case in 10 millions, where the directing guidance, 983, of the law is not needed and yet it is correct in everything. Therefore, a sage governs the empire for the 10 million cases. For, indeed, one should not make laws so that only the intelligent can understand them, for the people are not all intelligent, and one should not make laws so that only the men of talent can understand them, for the people are not all talented. Therefore did the sages, in creating laws, make them clear and easy to understand, and the terminology correct, 984, so that stupid and wise without exception could understand them, and by setting p. 335 up law officers, and officers presiding over the law, to be authoritative in the empire, prevented the people from falling into dangerous pitfalls. So the fact that when the sages established the empire there were no victims of capital punishment, was not because capital punishment did not exist, but because the laws which were applied were clear and easy to understand. They set up law officers and government officials to be the authority, in order to guide them, and they knew that if the 10,000s of people all knew what to avoid and what to strive for, they would avoid misfortune and strive for happiness, and so restrain themselves. Therefore, an intelligent prince follows the existing conditions of order and so makes the order complete, with the result that the empire will enjoy great order. Paragraph 27, lost. Paragraph 28, lost. Paragraph 29, lost.